Yes. Good morning, Nigerians. Well, we'll jump straight into what we have today. Around the world and here at home, women are at home. Women remain vastly underrepresented in leadership roles across political and governance structures. This is despite accounting for nearly half of the population. But a change seems not only necessary, it is also possible. In parliaments, executive offices and boardrooms, the gender gap persists. According to recent data from the International Interparliamentary Union, women just hold 26.7% of parliamentary seats globally, and in many developing nations, the number are even lower. But across the globe, a new generation of women is stepping up, challenging old norms and demanding equal representation.
However, challenges persist from cultural stereotypes to political violence and limited access to campaign financing. But clearly, the path to closing the gender gap in governance is complex, but the momentum is building. The voices of women, long silenced or sidelined, are beginning to shape the policies of tomorrow. And as more societies embrace inclusive leadership, the message is becoming clear. When women lead, nations progress. For more on promoting women leadership in governance and politics, we have in the studio the CEO, TOS Group, Osasu Ogwuche. Thank you for coming on the program today.
Thank you both for having me, Ash and TJ.
I'm proud to the women.
Yes, power to Nigerian women.
TJ, you want to take the first shot?
All right. Well, as much as we say that, we're pushing for equality, gender equality, and, for women to have better representation, we still find challenges, in this space. A lot of women, yes, we have a lot of women being represented in some leadership roles, but they still find, it challenging, to hold these positions. Why is there still this gap, despite, our willingness to give women equal rights to represent?
Thank you for that brilliant question, TJ. I completely agree with you. Nigeria, unfortunately, ranks amongst the lowest when it comes to female representation in politics. We rank worse than countries like Afghanistan. So this is not only an abysmal representation of 50% of the population. We all know that women make up 50% of Nigeria's population. But yet in parliament, we are less than 5%, right? So the issue here is structural, it's financial, it's cultural, and even legal. That is why in the 10th National Assembly, a solution has been preferred, which is called the Reserved Seats for Women's Bill. This bill seeks to increase the participation of women in politics, particularly in parliament, by bringing one reserved seat per state and the FCT in both chambers. That's the Senate, that's 37 seats in the Senate, 37 additional seats in the House of Representatives, and 3 additional seats per state across the 36 states of the Federation for only women to contest. This does not stop women from contesting the traditional seats. It just increases the number of seats in Parliament so women can participate and reflect the voices of Nigerians. So this is a solution that is being currently discussed in the National Assembly.
But to some, they feel that, look, reserving particular seats for the women folk signifies that they are weak, they can't compete, so let's preserve certain positions. Do you share that thought with this group of people?
Of course not. Women are powerful, women are intelligent, and if the field was leveled, then women wouldn't need this. But unfortunately, right now, you see structural and systemic barriers that prevents women from emerging victorious, even when they possess the intellectual capacity, when they present the political stamina to be able to emerge victorious. It's both structural in the political parties at the primary level and at the general level as well. You see ballot box snatching, you see the power bags, the money bags come out and fight. You even see physical violence. So we need to start off this transformation by reserving these seats for women. And even when they do contest under these reserved seats, we're going to still be at less than 30% representation, which is not still reaching the global gender parity agenda, which is 35% affirmative action. So this is just a starting point. We're not asking for much. And I have to give kudos to the Right Honourable Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, who proposed this bill alongside 12 others. And his not superior, because they're all colleagues, but the Speaker himself, who yesterday emphatically stated that the 10th National Assembly is fully in support of this bill. And by the grace of God, by December 2025, they will be able to churn out a piece of legislation that would be reflective of the Nigerian populace. So I really want to use this platform to commend the Right Honourable Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, the Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, and a host of others, even the Senate President and its leadership, who have thrown their full support behind this bill. We're very, very hopeful that this time around, because as you know, in the 8th Assembly, Biodun Olujimi had proposed it from Ekiti State. It failed. In the 9th Assembly, Right Honourable Speaker then Femi Gbajabiamila, alongside Nkiruka, had proposed it as well and had failed. But this time around, what we've done differently is to focus on one thing, which is asking for these reserve seats. We're not conflating issues by bringing in independent candidacy and bringing in, a host of other issues. Our demands are very clear. We want additional seats in the National Assembly and in the state assemblies for women to contest, and that is it. Support us.
Well, it's good that you mentioned that, because I was going to come to that. The bill was introduced in the last Senate, and I think in the Senate before that, and, it didn't get the support it needed. It was thrown out, and that is, I'm talking about in the Constitution review, but I'm not really going to dwell on that. There's this sentiment that, women don't support themselves. Even when it comes to elections, we see a lot of women, they galvanize for elections, but you see them tilting towards the male folk. How are you correcting that mindset that women should also support themselves when they ever see any of their, folk in the ring?
I would like to emphatically declare that it is not true that women do not support women, right? It is an evil machination from some select group of society that keeps indoctrinating the minds of women that you guys don't support each other. Women are fully in support of other women who have the capacity, because we're not just saying support people because they're women or support people because they're men. Support people with capacity. And when women step up to the plate, they have a wide array of people supporting them. What we do see is money politics, where votes are being bought for cheap due to the poverty rate in the nation, right? So it's whoever pays the most. So we look to change that. And the reason the reserves bill, seats for women's bill is the solution is because it, at its barest minimum, gives you only women to vote for, right? So at the end of the day, under this bill, you can only vote for a woman with the reserve seats. So there's no male contesting against her.
So it's
right?
like a freeway.
It's not tokenism, right? It's this ticket or this bill, when it's passed into law by the special grace of God, will actually ensure that women are campaigning across state. Because remember, the constituency for this bill is the entire state. So they have a lot of work to do. So it's not necessarily free or tokenism. It is a lot of work. However, it guarantees that there's a minimum number of women who are representing the Nigerian people in parliament. That's at the national and at the state level.
Okay, where do we place this, that it's a woman's world? Now, if it's the woman's world and it's not a man's world, why is it difficult for the women folk to be that assertive when it comes to election? Yeah, it's a good stuff that we're having this proposed bill that gives the affirmative action for women representation. But we're looking at 50%. Why is it that the women folk are not assertive? They have the money also. Why is it that you allow the men to beat you to the game and politics? Is it because the qualified women don't usually come out in elections? So when it comes to competition, the men seem to have the edge because those who are most qualified among the women folk don't present themselves.
I believe a lot of women with competence, with character, with integrity present themselves. But unfortunately, the system does not allow them to emerge victorious due to the violence, due to the money politics, due to cultural stereotypes and limitations, and generally due to the structure, due to the patriarchal system that we practice here in Nigeria, right? So when we talk about women, there isn't a lack of capacity. There isn't a lack of competence. There isn't a lack of character. We have them throughout all 6 geopolitical zones, in the South-South, in the Southeast, in the Southwest, in the North-Central, in the Northeast, in the Northwest. You have women of character and competence. So the issue here is the systemic barrier that continues to hinder women from emerging victorious. And this is what this bill seeks to change. And with the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President, this is in conformity of what they claim to believe in. So we believe strongly that Mr. President, sooner than later, will throw his support behind this bill as well to ensure that there is a level playing field. I say all the time when I get a chance to discuss this, Mr. President has shown through the support of his wife, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, his support that he supports women who want to emerge victorious in politics. His wife was a senator, right? So it shows that he has a track record of supporting women who are brilliant, women who have the appetite for politics, and therefore he will throw his full support behind this bill. And when he gets to his desk, he will assent to it as president.
All right.